Hello guys, welcome back to my channel English Academy. Guys, please like, share, follow, comment and subscribe the channel. Guys, in the previous video we have studied about the introduction of the Victorian poet Robert Browning and his literary career. Guys, we also discussed about the theme of the poem My Last Duchess. Guys, once again, in short, I am going to describe about the poet and the theme of the poem. Guys, you know that the Robert Browning as a writer of a dramatic monologues is famous for the presenting a psychological study of character and situations. Guys, Robert Browning always chooses a particular situation in which the mental status of the chief character is described. Guys, in the previous video, I have told that the poem My Last Duchess is a psychological study of the Duke's character and the states of his minds. Guys, you know that My Last Duchess is the story of the relationship between Italian Duke and his last Duchess. Guys, the poem begins in the portrait gallery of the Duke's palace. Guys, the Duke is a widower and guys, the Duke is a widower. The envoy of an Italian count has come to the Duke with a with a marriage proposal of his master's daughter. The Duke command the Duke's comments on the character and personality of his last duchess, and then he examines the proposal of marriage. The Duke says that the portrait of his last duchess is wonderful. It is so beautiful painted that it looks like that it was painted by the famous Italian painter Ferra Pandolfo. He took a whole day. He took a whole day to paint it. The strangers were much impressed by her picture face. There is a depth of passion and brightness in her eyes. But the strangers were not allowed to remove the curtains from the portrait of the Duchess. They could not see it without the permission of the Duke. Guys, the Duke says that Guys, the poem My Last Touches is all about power, the political and social power wielded by the speaker and his attempt to control the domestic speech. Guys, the Duke is in the speaker of the poem and tells us he is entertaining a misery who has come to the negotiate the Duke's marriage. Guys, when the poem beginning, the Duke had just pulled back a curtains to reveal to the envoy a portrait of his previous duchess. The portrait was painted by Ferra Pandolfo, a monk and painter whom the Duke believes captured the singularity of the Duchess' glance. Guy the poet said that, however, the Duke insists to the envoy that his former wife's deep, passionate glance was not reserved solely for her husband. As he puts it, she was too easily impressed into sharing her affable nature. Guys, the tone of the Duke grows harsh as he recollects how both human and nature could impress her, which insulted him since he didn't give special favor to the gift of his 900 years old family name and lineage. Guys, the Duke refusing to deign to lessen her on her unacceptable love of everything. He instead gave commands to have her killed. Some the Duke ends his story and asks the envoy to rise and accompany him back to the Count. the father of the Duke's impending bride and the envious employer. Guys, the Duke mentions that he expects a high dowry, though he is happy enough with the daughter herself. The Duke insists that the envoy works with him together, a lapse of the usual social expectations where the higher ranked person would work separately. And on their descents, he points out a bronze bust of the god Neptune in his collections. Guys, the moral lesson of this poem is that the purpose of this poem is to be aware that all that may seems perfect but is really not. The Duke himself, although a man of royalty, was incredibly zealous, pig-headed, and had murderous tendencies and insecure to say the least. Guys, ap- discussing the some after discussing summary, we will come on the topic the poem My Last Touches, which was composed by Robert Browning. Guys, guys, let's start now. That's my last touches painted on the wall. Looking as if she were alive, I call. That piece a wonder now, Farah Pandolf's hands. Vigilly a day, worked vigilly a day, there she stands. Walk, wait till please you sit and look at her, I said. Farah Pandolf by design for never read. Strangers like you that pictures countenance, the depths and patience of it earnest glance. But to myself thy they turned since known puts by the curtains I have drawn for you, but I and seemed as they would ask me if they durst, how such a glance came there, so not the first. Are you to turn and ask thus, sir, twas not. Her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into Duchess' cheek, perhaps. Farah Pandolf chanced to see her mental lapse over my lady's wrist too much or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and coach enough for calling up that spot of joy. Guys, first of all, we discuss about the first stanza of the poem. Before explaining the stanza, we know the meaning of one by one word of the lines. So, guys, come on, come on the topic. So, guys, come on the topic. That's my last duchess painted on the wall. Guys, the first line of the poem is that here the poet, guys, pointing towards the painting of the duchess, the duke tells that the pictures look as if the duchess were still living. Looking as if she were alive, I call. That piece a wonder now Feraphando's hands worked busily a day and there she stands. Guys, in the second line, see, looking as if she were alive. Guys, alive means living. That piece, third line is that piece a wonder now Feraphando's hands. Guys, in the second line, say looking as if she were alive, I call. Guys, in this line, the poet says that the painting of the duchess is looks like that she is life like. That piece a wonder now, Farah Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Will and please you sit and look at her, I said. Guys, the Duke regards it a wonderful painting and thinks that it has been beautifully done by the painter Farah Pandolf. Guys, the Duke also says that the painter worked throughout the whole day and after his day's labor, The picture as painted on the wall was ready. Hera Pandolf by design who never read. Strangers like you that picture's countenance, the depths and patience of its earnest glance. But to myself they turned. Since none puts by the curtains I have drawn for you, but I. Guys, in these lines, the poet says that the pictures which was designed by the painter Herab Adolph is very wonderful, and whenever the strangers come here to see this painting of the last duchess, and they ask the questions to the dukes. Then the dukes intentionally choose a monk painter to do job. That was because many people who didn't know the duke and the duchess might have thought that there must have been an affair between duchess and painter. The depth and patience of its earnest glance. Guys, in this line, the Duke knows by the experience how the visitors saw the pictures and they found a suggestion in it of such an affair. The depth and patience of its earnest glance, but to myself they turned the curtains I have drawn for you, but I. Guys, in this line, the poet says that mm, the curtains have drawn for you, but I. In this line, the poet tells him that he alone enjoys the authority to unveil the portrait and show the painting of the outsiders. However, whenever he has shown the portrait to the strangers, they have shown a general surprise at the work of art because it looks very much lifelike and seemed as they would ask me if they durst. How such a glance came there, so note the first. Are you to turn and ask thus? Guys, in this line, the poet said that the amazement of the strangers is also due to mystery of the happy glance of the Duchess. The Duke tells him that after seeing the painting, it seemed as if those visitors wanted to ask the Duke how the face of the Duchess could come to possess such an earnest looks about it. The people would have put the question to the Duke, but being afraid of the Duke's reactions, they never had the courage to ask these questions. Guys, the Duke tells the envoy that was not the first inquiring thought in his mind. All those who saw the paintings had the same curiosity. Guys, in the first stanza of the poem, the poet describes that about the dukes, and the dukes pointing towards the painting of the duchess. He tells him that the picture looks as if the duchess were still living. In the second line, the Duke regards it as a wonderful painting and thinks that it has been beautifully done by the painter Farah Pandolf. This painter worked throughout the whole day, and after his day's labor, the picture as painted on the wall was ready. The Duke cunningly reveals that he couldn't trust anybody to paint the picture except a monk. Guys, uh, the Duke says that Farah Pandolf was a monk painter. Moreover, the artist was permitted only a single day to complete the portrait. Guys, in the first stanza, the poet also describes about the dukes. The dukes ask the envoy to sit down and look at the painting of his wife. His request to sit almost seems and look at the painting of his wife. After the envoy had taken his seat, the Duke explains that they mentioned the name of Herr Pandolf deliberately. He intensely chose a monk painter to do the job. That was because many people who didn't know the Duke and the Duchess might have thought that there must have been an affair between the Duchess and the painter. The Duke knows by experience how visitors saw the pictures and found a suggestion in it of such an affair. The Duke tells him that after seeing the painting, it seemed as if those visitors wanted to ask the Dukes how the face of the Duchess could come to possess such an earnest look about it. Guys, the people would have put the questions to the Duke, but being afraid of the Duke's reactions, they never had the courage to ask this question. Guys, the Duke tells the envoy that he was not the first to have the inquiring thought in his mind. All those who saw the painting had the same curiosity. Guys, next stanza. Sir was Sir was not husband's presence only called that spot of joy into Duchess's cheeks, perhaps. Farah Pandolf's chances to say her mental lapse over my lady's wrist too much or faint. Must never hope to reproduce the faint half flush that dies along her throat, such steps. Was a courtesy she thoughts and cause enough for calling up that spots of joy. Guys, in this stanza, the poet says that the poet also explains the Duke tells the envoy that the sweet smiles of the lady were not reserved for her husband alone. The Dukes explain why the portrait of the Duchess has a blush of happiness on her cheeks. Guys, next line, Farah Pandolf chanced to say her mental lapse. Guys, the Duke was himself present. Many people think that, guys, in this line, the poet said that many people thinks that this blush came on her cheeks because the Duke was himself present at the time of the painting. Guys, next line, over my lady's wrist too much or paint. Guys, too much means more than necessary, or means otherwise, paint means art or painting. Art of painting. Guys, in this line, the over my lady's wrist too much or faint. Guys, in this line, the Duke tells him that the Duchess was so simple and innocent, she was easily pleased and smiled at every little thing. He tells the envoy that the redness on her face in the portrait was not because he was present there. Must never hope to reproduce the faint. Guys, must never hope means can never expected. Faint means even a little half flush that dies along her throat. Such steps. Guys, in this line, the Duke said that there was some other reasons of it, perhaps some compliments by the artist occasioned that happy spot on her face. The artist might have complimented her on her dress. He might have said that it was impossible to capture in painting the faint trace of a blush or the light red thing that seemed to flush her throat. Guys, next line is that was courtesy she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. Guys, in this line, the Duke says that the painter meant that the blush was so beautiful and so evanescent that it was impossible to capture it on canvas. The Duke tells the envoy that these remarks about his dead wife were merely expressions of courtesy. Guy the Duke says that the stanzas had no further meanings. Such a remark, merely one of formal courtesy, was enough to bring a flush of joy to the Duchess's cheeks. She had such an innocent, happy nature then that she was easily pleased in this way. So, guys, in this video we will discuss about the first and second stanza of my the poem My Last Duchess. So, guys, thanks so much, guys, for watching the video. Guys, don't forget to like the video. Thanks so much, guys.